Hey all, so middle of May, I'm finally getting out for the first track day of the year. I know it's ridiculous, I normally get out in March. I say track day, it's track afternoon. Goodwood's a little bit, I'm off to Goodwood. Goodwood's a little bit quirky that they do, you can book a half day, and because the weather's been so bad and Goodwood's expensive, that's all I've booked. You can see out there, that window there, trailer on the back of the van. So all that's left for me to do is get my coffee sorted out, give me a good old Mercedes mug, thank you Kaya, and get going. One of the less fun aspects of having ADHD is having that dreadful memory, executive functioning I think they call it. So to help myself a bit, I leave myself notes quite often, so that note will stay on the steering wheel all the way up the road until I get to the petrol station. Because if I take it off now, I will probably sail straight past the petrol station. So, my personal aim for today is to have a nice afternoon, just troll around the track for a bit, maybe have a little play around with tyre pressures, but nothing much. Video wise, what I'm thinking is just try and do a little bit of a video, a little bit about Goodwood. Goodwood track days are a little different from most. Firstly, as I've already said, you can do half a day. There probably is others that do that, but none that I'm aware of. Which makes them a little different. They also provide you with lunch, which is a very odd thing. Now, being Goodwood, if you want to book someone else in for lunch, they charge you 21 quid. The afternoon on the track, they have two different prices. They have 98 dB days and 105 dB days. An afternoon on a 98 dB day is 130 quid. So, not the cheapest track day in the world, but certainly not the most expensive. You know, and it's a nice facility there, very famous track and all that. Anyway, so if you take anyone along with you and want lunch, they charge an extra 21 quid for that. I don't know how good the lunch is. Last time I went there was sort of on the tail end of COVID, so the lunch was just like a packed lunch thing, which, you know, was all very nice. It's all sort of very posh sandwiches, but I'd rather have 21 quid off the track day and eat my own sandwich from the co-op, but anyway, maybe that's just me being tight. Yeah, so Goodwood, I've got a long old history with Goodwood. Goodwood is the first track I ever went on. First one I ever did a track day on. That was back in the days of bikes for me. So I had a GSXR 1100K slingshot. Beautiful bike. Handled like God knows what. Anyway. So there used to be track days down there. And I used to go along. So we're talking about 92, 93. So Goodwood has many firsts for me. First time I ever did a track day. First time I ever got my knee down. Those track days were in the days that the rules were slightly more loose. We were actually allowed pillions on the back of the bikes then, and so it's the first time I ever got my knee down with a pillion on the back of the bike. Yeah, couldn't have been too bad, because that pillion is now my wife, and we, as of a few days ago, have been married for 24 years, so it couldn't have been bad. But there's other firsts for me there as well. When I was about 7 or 8 years old, my dad knew someone with a light aircraft licence, so my birthday present was a little flight up in an aircraft, so it was the first time I ever went in an airplane. If you've ever watched my little Who Am I, What Is This channel video, you'll see probably the most, most thrilling, the most unusual, the most something in my life is my 50th birthday, all my family chipped in together and I flew in a Spitfire from Goodwood. And even saying those words, it's still, I don't know if you can see the hairs on my arms go up. It's just an amazing thing. Anyway, so that's me in Goodwood. Oh, also, I've always enjoyed watching racing down at Goodwood. Obviously they don't have a lot, but I've been going to the revival pretty well since it started. I only stopped a couple of years ago when it's just turned far too much into an occasion for Rupert and his girlfriend Porsche to go along and pose. And it's, I'm going to sound a bit sad here, it just ain't what it used to be. So, track day, I'm on my way down. I'm going down there really early. You don't need to be down, I should get there about 10 o'clock. Don't need to be down there till about 11. But with the 98 dB noise restriction, I'm slightly concerned the car might be over that. So I want to give myself plenty of time to mess around to get through the noise test. I might have to add extra baffles. So, just about pull in for fuel, because I'm not going to forget that with my thing on here. We'll catch up when we get to Goodwood. Thanks to the note, I've not forgotten. Not sure if you'll be able to see from the camera, but we're about half a mile from Goodwood. Just off this roundabout on the right is the Rolls-Royce factory. Here we are. Hopefully the camera in its holder will pick up the entrance. Goodwood Motor Racing Circuit. I'm going to go underneath this tunnel. But in the van I feel like I'm going to scrape both sides. Obviously you need to be careful nothing's coming the other way, because I don't much fancy reversing out of here. So like I said before, me and Goodwood, bit of history, first ever track days, early 90s, car history. Track days not so great. I did a track day here when I had an Evo, and the Evo engine blew on the first lap. A piston came off, wrote the head off, wrote the turbo off, basically wrote the whole engine off. And I've done one track day, I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, with the Exo Booster, which went a little bit better than that, but it still wasn't great. The MAF sensor, for reasons best known to a MAF sensor, decided it didn't want to play ball, and I broke down on track, so I had the ignominy of being towed out. Here we are. I get parked up. Just gone for a tiny drive to warm the engine up around the paddock, and there can't be many paddocks that you can drive, what, 20 metres? And we have the silver Spitfire, which has done some recent historic flight and is a very historic aircraft. And then over there we have the two-seater one. I don't know if I've ever mentioned before, that's the Spitfire I flew in. I'm sure I've never mentioned that before. Oh, actually, is it the one I went in? It's got a different label on. I'll have to check that. Anyway, I think there's only two of them like that. There we go. Can't be many like that, can there? So anyway, let's get back to the car, warm the engine up, see if I can get it noise tested. These Goodwood track days seem to attract all sorts. So obviously we've got an oldish track kind of Golf there. There's me waiting. And then behind me, evidently this is a thing called an AMG One. I don't know about stuff like that, but I assume it's expensive. So let's have a very quick walk around, because I've got a bit of time before signing on. See what we've got. So like I say, there's all sorts. A little kit car. I don't know. Another guy. Another little 7 there. And then this, I don't know, is this going out on track? I'd love to see it on track. It's bloody huge. And your normal kind of BMW thing down there. Nice coffee shop. Good coffee, of course. We're at Goodwood. None of that rubbish. Audi TT. I don't suppose those are track day cars. cars, and then that, then an old sleeker. What would that be? 70s? It's obviously had a noise test issue with that one. Crikey, there's some famous names on there. If you ever watch the revival, they have a race for kids in those little Austin something pedal cars. So this is their own little paddock area for those. But it's more and more over the years. When I first came here in the 90s, it was all a bit scruffy here, to be honest. But now, you know, with the revival being so popular, it's pretty smart here. But smart, you know, with that kind of old smart. The noise guy said there's 18 more going out this afternoon. Kind of normal kind of track day fare here. Yeah, so they run the track days here as sort of open pit lane. I say sort of because they're sessioned, but you're not in a group. You just queue up to go out, which is okay sometimes. It's a pain in the ass when it's wet, because if you got a car like mine, there's no shelter. You're queuing up literally stood in the rain, which is not great at all. And you can spend a lot of time queuing. So if you want to do any sort of adjustments and stuff to the car, obviously you can't be queuing then, or you would do your adjustments in the queue. So you kind of lose out on track time. They don't allow many on track at any one time. It's because of all these noise limits in the south. Bloody NIMBYs buy houses next to racetracks and then complain about the noise. Fucking NIMBYs like that should be told to fuck off, I think, personally. But fast raced in the endurance thing. Car pushed hard, judging by those tyres, and we're on a track day, so there has to be an MX-5. I think that's compulsory. It's like, is it actually illegal to run a track day in the UK without an MX-5 being here? Not sure, but it must be close to. Hey, Goodwood are trying some unusual stuff. I've just been chatting with this guy. Lives not far from me. They've just built this, and it's an IQ running, I think it said about 120 horsepower. And then parked just over here is a guy with a nearly 30-year-old SL 500. He's having great fun in it as well. Sorry if this seems really weird, but can you believe this is a racing circuit toilet? Can't believe I'm at a race circuit. It's not. It doesn't stink. Queue up outside the pit lane, and then they let the cars in for the next one. But it is a downside of this track that you're constantly kind of queuing and making sure you get the track time you want, which means there's no time or opportunity really to stand around and talk crap with other people. I've videoed up to now and why I haven't. So fourth gear on the car broke. I'm pissed off. I don't know how many times that engine's been in and out. It's supposed to be like really well built. Plenty of people have them really well built and they all seem to play up from what I can make out. As far as Goodwood track days are concerned, like I said, they're funny old things. There's still some people going out. Look, two guys with the orange. In fact, it's like Lotus Elise Club going out. Yes, it's a funny track. It's a very, very fast track. Lots of fast sweeping corners. I certainly wouldn't come down here in. I mean, there are a few hot hatches. Personally, I wouldn't bother coming down here in a hot hatch. It's so fast, you probably just flat out all the time. But you know, if you've got some fast supercar or even some of the kit cars, it's good fun. Mine was running on low boost today, and it was running out of steam on the straights. I was getting about 120, I guess, but it kind of needed more power for its appalling aero. Would I recommend Goodwood track days? For doing an afternoon, I had a really nice lunch, and it's 130 quid, and if my car wasn't broken, I've done 3 sessions, so that's 3/4 of an hour. If the car wasn't broken, I could basically just stay out on track now for the next hour. So it's actually, strangely enough, for a track that a couple of years ago used to be just stupidly expensive, they seem to drop the prices right down with plenty of track time. So I would say, yeah, it's a good place to come. The track's not the most exciting in the world, so I wouldn't want to be doing too often here, but a couple of times a year, if your car doesn't break, it seems a good idea. Hi, thanks for getting to the end of the video. If you're not already subscribed, please do so now. Just hit the subscribe button and then hit the bell button, and that way YouTube will tell you when there's any new videos. We've got some big plans ahead for the channel, including possibly a car build from scratch. So if you want to get involved with that, now's the time to subscribe. Cheers then, bye.